What role does the heritage and the history of Jamaica Blue Mountain play in the identity of your brand? Obviously, it's Blue Mountain Coffee, but why was it so important to you and so touching to you? Like, this is Jamaica, your roots, generation removed.
No, that's such a great question. And I think it was basically, when you're growing up in the culture, you're learning about, or most people in America know about reggae, they know about dance hall, they know about, the food that and the music aspect of Jamaica, but no one really knows much about the coffee. So 80% of Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee is shipped to Japan, 20% for the rest of the world. So it's a rare coffee, which is why not many people know about it. And so when we learned about it, we were just like, oh my goodness, this coffee is wonderful. It's packed full of minerals and nutrients and vitamins. And we were like, how are we going to get this coffee here to Connecticut and share a little bit of the Jamaican culture here in Connecticut through coffee?
Are you ready for that?
Welcome back. We are here in the studio with Saha Faye, the co-founder of Ovel Coffee, right, Sasha? Ovel, say it, Ovel.
Ovel, that is correct. Love it. Thanks, Petra.
Ovel Coffee. I'm so excited you're here. I mean, we're across each other. We have a history together. You can't even say, I was your counselor or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. So that goes to show you, right? You never know how you're going to impact people and how you're going to meet them again. So go ahead.
Yes. Well, yes, that's how I was like, I know your face. I know. And I had to think it through, but I was like, I knew what it was, Petra. So I'm glad that we reconnected. Yes, you were my either counselor or RA something when I was in high school. So it was
there you go.
Lovely to reconnect again. I love it.
I know. To the Upper Brown program at Fairfield University. Yes. So welcome to the show. This is Alec Money 365, and I'm so excited you're here. So let me read your bio and clear my throat. That song back in the day. So Saha Faye, as I was saying, is a co-founder of Ovel Coffee, a company inspired by her deep connection to Jamaica's Blue Mountain and her commitment to quality, sustainability, and community. Sasha brings a wealth of experience in marketing, operations, and entrepreneurship. And her journey into the coffee world began after her 2019 destination wedding in Jamaica. We're going to get into that. It was there while exploring the rich coffee culture of the Blue Mountains, that Sasha and her husband Ian discovered the unique taste in smooth, alkaline, I didn't pronounce that word, quality of Jamaica Blue Mountains coffee, a discovery that sparks the foundation of Ovel Coffee in 2020. That is crazy. Like, let's first of all, let's get there. Because when I was growing up in Jamaica, it was tea. Tea was everything. And now coffee is like taking over the world. I'm like, I go back home, Dad is making coffee. I'm like, coffee? What are you doing with coffee? We grow mint behind the kitchen, We grow Cersei. Why are you doing coffee, Daddy? But he has his Blue Mountain coffee. So I'm so excited to hear this amazing story. So Sasha, let's jump in. Okay, let's jump in.
Yes.
Tell me, okay, or tell us the story of how your destination wedding, okay, in Jamaica, because on my wedding, I didn't see outside in my wedding, my honeymoon, but how your destination wedding in Jamaica became the spark for starting Ovel Coffee.
Yes, so I just want to say thank you so much, Petra, for having me on your podcast. Very excited to do Island Money Talk. Woo, woo, woo. So very happy. And so I'll dive into kind of how we got into coffee. Like you said, Jamaica's not a big coffee drinking country, but it is becoming more well known in drinking coffee. Tea is the big thing in Jamaica. So fast forward to, or maybe I should say rewind, taking it back to our wedding. We got married in 2019, and Ian and I, my husband, who's also a co-founder on the business with me, we actually took a tour of a coffee farm, fell in love with Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. So I must say, I was actually born here in the U.S., and I was not born in Jamaica, so I didn't even know about Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee beforehand. So I was just enamored by the taste of the coffee, the smoothness. It's chocolatey, it's just velvety, it's rich, and it's alkaline. So it's nice because you'll get those really nice, crisp, smooth notes of the coffee, but you'll get some delicious quality coffee. So I was just like, what is this? This isn't coffee. It doesn't taste like coffee. Like, what am I drinking? Come to find out, it was coffee. Jamaican Blue Mountain, one of the best coffees on the planet. So we were able to work with some local farmers when we got back in 2020. We kind of was like, oh, we really would want to enjoy some of that coffee again. So we connected back with some farmers, did some testing to see like what could we do, how could we actually make a difference, and that was kind of why we decided to work with the local co-op farmers versus working with large estates. That way we can make a difference and bring some quality coffee to Connecticut.
But
So that's a
Sasha,
little bit how
wait
we
up.
started.
Sasha, hold up.
Yeah,
So you went,
yeah.
were you a coffee lover before? Are you a coffee lover? Like, I mean, why would you go on your honeymoon and go tour a coffee farm? You know?
So we both are coffee lovers, and we love coffee. But kind of a little bit about that. So Ian and so actually I was on a journey, a health journey, and still am on a health journey. And previously, before our wedding, for 5 years, I was pre-diabetic. So I was talking with my doctor, and she was just like, "You really have to do something." So I went vegan. And then I also did an alkaline diet as well. So I was able to really get a lot of things out of my system. And then I quit coffee for a year. So the year before the wedding, or the year during the wedding, so 2019, I had quit coffee. And then I was just like, oh my goodness, Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee, it's alkaline. So maybe I could drink it again. So that was kind of how I was reintroduced back into coffee on the wedding. So yeah, that
Oh,
was
it's
kind of
so
it.
amazing because people go and enjoy these things, right? But you came back and
Yeah.
start business. Hello. And you keep saying alkaline. What is this alkaline? I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest, Sasha. What is it?
So alkaline, it's basically a level pH balance in your system. So instead of it being acidic, where coffee is typically on a scale, so the alkaline scale, or the scale, basically pH balance scale, is anywhere from 0 to I think 11 or 12. And so where coffee is more at a 4, and then 5 would be kind of more neutral, 6 or 7 are more neutral. Um, the Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee is more on the alkaline side, along with, like, if you go into a store, you'll see like alkaline water. It's just supposed to be more pH balance for your system, a more holistic approach to eating food or drinking water and things like that. So I kind of
I,
dived into
I
that a little bit.
I never knew that. I never
Yeah.
knew that. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even look for that. I didn't
Yeah.
see that word.
Oh,
Now
okay.
I'm gonna be seeing that word. No, it's like it's brought to my consciousness. My, it's
Well,
subconscious. Now I'm gonna be seeing it.
I know. You know what? So I forget. Dr. Sadie was actually the person that like brought alkaline foods and whole foods into my life. So that's why that came about, actually.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
check it out.
My mom. I'm good. I have to. Like, I love to learn. So anytime there's something new, I'm like writing it down. Okay, got to figure that out. So, what role does the heritage and the history of Jamaica Blue Mountain play in the identity of your brand? Obviously, it's Blue Mountain Coffee, but why was
Yeah.
it so important to you and so touching to you? Like, this is Jamaica, your roots, generation removed.
Yeah. No, that's such a great question. And I think it was basically, when you're growing up in the culture, you're learning about, or most people in America know about reggae, they know about dance hall, they know about, the food that and the music aspect of Jamaica, but no one really knows much about the coffee. So 80% of Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee is shipped to Japan, 20% for the rest of the world. So it's a rare coffee, which is why not many people know about it. And so when we learned about it, we were just like, oh my goodness, this coffee is wonderful. It's packed full of minerals and nutrients and vitamins. And we were like, how are we going to get this coffee here to Connecticut and share a little bit of the Jamaican culture here in Connecticut through coffee? So that was something we thought about. But we also were thinking about, like, you know, how are we going to do something that's going to impact a group of individuals, local farmers who are doing the hard labor of actually picking the coffee cherries and processing the coffee cherries and then shipping them out to us? How are we going to be able to do something that's impactful? So direct trade was something that came to us, and we are now able to actually work directly with the farmers in order to pay them a living wage so that we could get some quality coffee. And I feel like that's what Jamaica represents. It always represents change. It always represents, just something positive to the community, out of one people, out of many people, one people. So it's like those are the things that really that I think about, and my family that just instilled so much of the culture in me, and just my grandparents and things like that are just something that I'm just so proud to continue to share in
That's
Connecticut.
awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, you're a business owner. What have been some of the biggest challenges? Because let's be real, and
Yeah.
surprises you faced in starting this business?
Yeah, so some big challenges. I mean, I feel like any business owner knows entrepreneurship is not tough. It's tough, not easy. Excuse me.
Mhm.
It is tough, not easy. And I think for us, some of the immediate challenges we faced were one, logistics. During the pandemic, there were so many things going on with the supply chain. So we really had to fine tune the supply chain. We really had to build strong relationships with the farmers and with the Jamaican government in order to get the coffee here. Another part of that was our startup capital, getting the funding that you need in order to start your business. So we really tapped into first our connections, our personal connections, our family. That was some of the things that we tapped into, family and friends, in order to see who wanted to invest in our business as we started early. And then because we were Dave Ramseying it, we were like, let's try to see if we could do it debt free. So that was kind of something that was a passion of ours. We're still passionate about it, but we're still trying to see how do we kind of make that a priority, but also see how we can also get other funding. But I won't get too deep into that until there's a question that possibly comes up for that. But so we actually were able to tap into the community network as well. So we were looking for different grant opportunities, because the the statistic goes is that Black and brown businesses, they get about $500 of outside capital, compared to their counterparts getting about 50,000 of outside capital. So that was something that we really wanted to make sure that we tapped into early, and that we connected and we did our research, and we were looking out to see how can we pull those funds in to support our business as it was a startup. So yeah.
I did
Hopefully
not
that
know that
answers.
stat. That 550,000. That's not a
Yeah,
gap. That's a
yes.
crater.
Mm-hmm. It
I gotta
is.
go look that up too. I'm just getting all kind of information from you.
Yeah.
So okay. So all
Yeah.
right. This is going great. Are you starting your business? You're getting funding. You're trying to do it, debt-free way. We can talk about that too. As a financial coach, I help you figure some stuff out. You can also use debt to leverage your business. And I know Dave Ramsey and stuff like that. But we can do that.
Yep.
But as a co-founder, what is the dynamic like? Working with the hubby. How do you balance that out?
I think it's a lot of communication. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of communication, and then also a lot of losing of ego, because you really have to see like what's best for the business. Like, one, you want to make sure that you have a quality spouse first, and then to start a business with. But also you kind of want to see, like, what are their strong suits, what's my strong suits, what can they work on to help push the business forward in that respect, and then what can I do to push the business forward as well. And then we have conversations about that, and I think that helps a lot. And also, like I said, losing of ego. So you really have to be able to say, hey, I may not agree with it, but let's try it. Let's see if it works. Especially if you have a quality partner, that they have your best interests at heart. You might as well just try it and see. And especially if you have done the numbers and work things out on your own, and you've kind of looked at it a little bit, then I feel like you should be able to go forward. But it's a lot of communication, like nonstop communication.
Like with everything else in a relationship. And I like you said, I love what you said when you said, lose the ego. That's very huge. But in any relationship, it's communication. My marriage, when we start raising our kids, how we want to raise our kids compared to how we were raised, it's a lot of communication. So absolutely agree. So how do you think your background in marketing and operations contribute to the creation and the growth of your business? Because, I mean, girl, you're doing it. You're doing that.
I'm trying. No, we're doing well. We're doing well. But I think that, well, not I think. I know it was a huge help. So I was in sales, marketing, operations, and I think whenever you're doing a job somewhere else, or you're working full time somewhere else, part time somewhere else, you really have to take those skill sets that you're learning there and apply them. And it's helped me a lot because in my sales skill set, I was able to just go out and reach out to clients and call and send emails and put myself out on the line because that was a skill set that I learned through someone else. I was able to apply that to my own business. Same as marketing operations. I really was able to find out, like, what's a logo, and just these little terms that you might not necessarily know. I had that skill set already through the other companies that I worked with. So I think it's a huge help. But anything that you do, whatever it's gonna like propel you to what you're planning on doing, your dream, just use those same skill sets that you learned at a previous role and just make it happen. It's worked for me so far.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should give examples, but yeah.
No, it's great. Like the learning curve, like you learn on somebody else's dime, you call it mistake on somebody else's dime, and then you refined, and then you come to your business. Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah. Example, yeah. Give me one example so that our listeners, I'm sure we are all dying because we're all trying to do our own thing out here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So I guess for me, like branding and finding out like what our aesthetic is, what our brand colors are, that's on the marketing side. Just kind of like a name that's going to stick out,
Oh,
email
okay.
marketing, and like how to target marketing, target audience and things like that. Like those specific things, and also how to like build a website. That I had some knowledge in that as well with the previous role. So I was able to utilize that in the business and build my own website. So I didn't have to pay someone to build it. I was able to do that on my own. So
That's
a lot of the
awesome.
stuff I did a lot on my own. I learned a lot. It was very difficult and there was a lot of tears, but a lot of joy.
I'm still crying, Sasha. I'm still crying some night. I'm up. My husband is sleeping. My kids are sleeping. I'm at the computer. I'm like, ah. But I'm determined. I remember my why and I
There
keep
you
going.
go.
So,
That's
I
right.
love that you are doing the sustainable. I love that you're working directly with the farmers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure you see how you doing that have impact or change their lives or change the trajectory of their business as farmers.
Yeah.
How do you stay engaged with the farming community in Jamaica and ensure that your partnership is making a difference, on the ground? Because it can be challenging, being being countries or waters, I should say, ocean apart.
Yeah, no, that's a phenomenal question because I think what happens is when you are operating in one country and then you're partnering with people in another country, it does get a bit challenging. So, like I said before, really getting back to that communication piece. Like, and you mentioned earlier that you stay in touch with folks. Like, you met them a while ago, but you'll stay in touch and you'll connect back with them. That's the same thing I'm doing too. So, connecting back, emailing, just a phone call, like, hey, how's everything doing? When there's like a landslide in Jamaica, talk about sustainability, you know, reaching out, like, how is everyone? Is everyone okay? Like, was anyone impacted? What could we do to support? And then also, the whole aspect of like direct trade is going down to origin being Jamaica for us, and meeting with the farms, going, twice a year, once a year, and just really check it up, see how everything is going, see how we can, if we need to, work with them directly and, either provide funds or equipment or whatever it could that we could do on our end here. That's what we try to do there, for them, just to kind of build back that economy of sustainability. So I'm not sure if we have a question on that, but there was a lot of great questions. So what I did want to say is that in regards to sustainability, what we're doing is trying to provide a different opportunity for farmers to make a living wage, to also crop and plant and harvest their coffee in the most sustainable way possible. So having an ecosystem that's built on having pine trees, banana trees, cocoa trees, and this environment of like an agroforestry environment, so that there's birds, there's butterflies, and there's this ecosystem of plants that are just living harmoniously. They're grabbing the nutrients from each other. That means that there's less pesticide. That means that there's less CO2 emissions. That means that there's now this system that can be grown more sustainably and just better for the environment, versus other places it's more of a monoculture type system. So all the plants are grown on one plane, and it's just harvested by a huge machine. And so you're really not seeing that sustainability, because it is producing more emissions. You are using more pesticides, and then those plants, they last like 2-3 years, and then they no longer can produce crops. So that entire crop is now decimated, and then they have to do that somewhere else in another part of the forest. So I say all that to say, because sustainability is something that we're really trying to see how we can help push it forward, because by 2050, half of the coffee belt is going to disappear. So the coffee that we know and love, it just won't be there anymore. So that's something that we're really trying to focus on as well.
Wow. I didn't know that. So, because, banana trees just grow in Jamaica. I don't think about it. It's funny because when growing up, all these things are in my backyard. Banana tree,
Yes.
My coconuts, my papaya. I had all these trees in my backyard. Now I come to America, I got to pay for all these things in a grocery market. But that's a different story. That's a different podcast. And another time. But, my orange trees, my grapefruit trees, these are those things I grow up, they're just there. You don't realize until you leave how precious those things are. So I'm glad that having this harmonious environment, as you say, produce the better coffee and making the land not so what do you call it?
Monoculture.
Monoculture. Okay, awesome. Another word I want to put down from my vocabulary. All right. So, okay, let's get to you there and your culture. As I said, I know you were born here, right? So do you know your family migration story? Do you know what inspired them to move to the US?
Yeah, so my dad, who was also an entrepreneur, and I get my entrepreneurial spirit, I believe, from both my parents. But my dad, he was a tailor, and he had his own business in Jamaica. And then, where everyone kind of left Jamaica and looking for better prosperous opportunities, kind of like the Windrush when everyone went to Britain. It was kind of that same thing where there were family members, friends, and things like that already in America that he knew, and they were like, "Come, and it's going to be so wonderful." So I think that he decided that he was going to do. He was going to go to America, and he did end up starting a tailor shop up there, and a convenience store up there as well. And then my mom and siblings, they went afterwards to America to also be with my dad. So he kind of started that migration journey, or else if it was up to my mom, she would still be in Jamaica.
Wait, where did you migrate to? What state did you migrate to first?
Yeah, so they were in St. Andrew, Jamaica, and they went to New York. So my dad went to New York originally, and then he actually ended up in Bridgeport with a friend of his, a very long time close friend. He lived with him for a while, and then my mom came up, and then they ended up getting a place in Stratford, I believe it was. And lo and behold, I was here, I think.
So you're the only one of your siblings that was born here?
Yes. Yep.
So did they call you Jamaican? Did they call you that?
No, so not that. They definitely did call me a Yankee, so I got that. um, and that they were a yardie. But it wasn't so much my siblings. Honestly, my siblings didn't make fun of me. It was really like aunts and uncles and stuff like that. So that was but it wasn't my siblings though. They always rallied around me and were very supportive of me. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's the story. So are they proud of you though? So how did your parents instill Jamaican culture in you, the heritage, how and the pride in you? And are they so proud of what you're doing now? Because I'm impressed. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, Sasha.
Well, thank you. Well, I just I I owe everything to my parents, honestly, because they did instill so much. Like, I'm so grateful that they came from Jamaica because one, Jamaicans are very proud of their culture and they will tell it, from the beginning, like very proud. They love the music. They love like they just such an abundant group. And so I've heard that. I've heard stories of, bankers in our family, nurses in our family, doctors in our family, just like these stories that I don't think that are the stories that if you're born in America and um, you don't have relatives that's come from a predominantly Black uh, country, you may not get that same the sense of pride. And I felt like I was instilled with just all of that pride of like, who we are as a people, um, how we contributed to the land. Stories of my parents growing up and like what their parents did. My grandfather was also an entrepreneur and owned his own construction business and learned everything himself. And so those different stories. My grandma was an entrepreneur on my mother's side, and she, did her sewing and took care of the community. And you just hear these stories and you just feel like, oh my goodness, I am so connected to something that is so great. I can't like slack. I really have to like step it up. So honestly, I don't know. I think I'm just trying to keep up with all the greatness that has been behind me. But so I think that's what I'm doing. But I know they're all so proud of me. We talk and they tell me I'm so proud of them for all the things that they've done, and it just is a mutual just respect for what we're doing. So
That's awesome. So coffee, that's great. That's really good. My grandmother did so many jobs as an entrepreneur too. She
yep.
even sell ice. She even sell shaved ice. I mean, that woman, she did what she needed to do to take care of her
Yes,
kids. Okay. I mean, that's just what we do. We're islanders,
exactly.
we're immigrants. That's what we do. So I
Hmm.
know that the coffee industry is very competitive, at least from the
Yep.
outside looking in. Cause, I smell coffee. I get to taste it, but I smell it because
Yeah.
people at work, drink coffee. But so what financial challenges have you faced in starting and sustaining Ovel Coffee? And how do you overcome them?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a competitive industry, and we like to stand out because our motto is peace, love, happiness, and joy, and we want to make sure that that's the connection that we're building with every single customer we interact with all of our clients, with all of our relationships that we're building. That's kind of what we want to really establish first and foremost. So yes, there's a lot of competition, but we're really not focusing on the competition. We're really trying to focus on how can we make and improve the community that we serve. So that's like our number one. And then as far as like the challenges that we face, I kind of alluded to that before, was just that startup challenge. Like and I say startup because every startup that you do, you're going to need more funding. So we started up originally with, selling the coffee, importing the coffee, and we needed that original startup cost. But when you grow, so we were roasting coffee in our home, and then we needed another startup cost because we were leaving our home after 2.5 years of roasting at home. And then we got a commercial space. So you need capital for that as well. And so, those are huge challenges. And then when we grow even further and we need a larger space, we'll need capital for that as well. So some of the things that, the challenges that we face were just getting that capital, because getting that capital and then also building enough relationships while you're growing to make sure that you can sustain it as well. Because for example, we got into a family run grocery store, And, when you're just starting from roasting at home to a commercial space, you really have to think about like, am I going to be able to produce what they need? Because sometimes that's a 21-day net, 30-day net, 60-day net, and you may not get that funds right away. So you really have to make sure that you support yourself with getting some funding initially in order to know that you can actually take care of that client. So those are some of the things and some of the challenges that we faced was just kind of capital, and then client relationship building. So
That's great. And that goes perfectly to the next question, which is how do you balance that personal financial goals with the financial demand of running a business, right?
Yeah. In my mind, they're not different. Because I'm a saver and my partner would probably be a spender. And so that kind of goes back to like the communication piece, because you need a spender when you're a saver. You need a spender because you need someone to say like, hey, we need to get these things for the business. And then when you're a saver, you need to also be like, oh, let's pull back on this so that we can make sure that we're saving enough to be financially sound for the future growth of the business here. So like you need a little bit of both when you're in a partnership, and that helps us a lot because we're able to manage it. And when I say communication, like I love a lot of communication, probably too much, but I try not to annoy people because I really like to just really just text and say like I want every little detail, but I try not to do that anymore. But so when I just kind of reeling it back a little bit, when we're looking at our budget, we want to make sure that we're budgeting for the month, budgeting for the quarter, and then budgeting for the year. And we do that with our personal, and we do that with our business as well. Because for me at least, I don't know anyone else, I don't think that those are two separate things, because when you are in a business and we're running it, basically it's myself and my husband right now, but we're looking to add as well. So when you're running it that close to like your personal, and like you really have to fine tune and make sure that like your home is not suffering because you're putting into your business, and then your business isn't suffering, and trying to like, you want to make sure that you separate them that way, but you also want to make sure that your personal life, your personal spending mirrors your business spending. You can't just spend wildly personally and then be like, oh, I'm going to be conservative on my business. You really kind of have to just make sure that those two align pretty closely.
Nope. That's called split personality. That doesn't work. Oh my God. So what are some of the financial lessons you learned? Okay, so you're a saver. What are some of the financial lessons you learned growing up that, has shaped you the way you are today and approach in your approach to money, in your approach to business, right now?
I think some financial lessons, my mom taught me a lot of financial lessons as far as just like one, sometimes you have to watch and learn. She took me on a lot of uh, just going to the bank and seeing how she operates, and created a savings and checking account for me when I was young. And so I learned and picked up on a lot of those things that helped me. But I will say that I have not always had a perfect track record of like saving, saving, saving. It definitely was not that for me. I actually, I was in college. You know, when you go off to college, now things happen. And so, while in college, I kind of took advantage of the credit cards, and I got into some credit card spending and did a little bit too much. So, I did that. And then when you graduate, there's the student loan just looming over your head. So, I
No.
wanted to, and so I was like, all right, what am I going to do? So, in 2020, when we were starting a business, I decided that I wanted to make sure that I paid off my credit card, consumer debt, and then also my student loan debt. And at this time, so I'll say I was working full time, and then I was also doing the business on the side, and then I wanted to do this as well. So I started listening to Dave Ramsey in like January of 2020, and it really changed the trajectory because I was able to pay off the student loan debt, which is about 20,000, and then the consumer debt, which was about 13,000. I paid it all off that year. by like October or November that year. So I was just on fire, like a lot of tears, a lot of like emotional just stress and drama, but that helped me set up how I wanted the business to go. And when I say you learn from everything that you do, I learned from that moment and I brought that into the business. So it's really helped going forward. So yeah, hopefully
That
that
is
answered the question.
awesome. That is awesome. So how are you planning for the financial future of the family and for the business? Like, what are you trying to put in place? Because you're always thinking, right? As entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Always thinking.
What, how are you thinking about scaling? What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, well, I like to do strategic planning for 2025 now. So that's kind of something that I'm partnering with someone on Monday to kind of connect with. So I like to do my strategic planning at the end of the year for the new year. And that entails like budgeting and marketing and just kind of seeing where the business is going to go. Um, and personally, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me because I have an idea of where I want the business to go. Um, but personally, I think I do need to make sure that I'm doing more self-care. After running a business, for 4 years now, you really start to blend with it a little bit. So I want a little separation as far as just personal wise. I want to make sure that I'm doing more self-care, doing more mental health check-ins, just doing more of that with myself. And that's just my main goal for 2025 personally. And then for the business, it's just strategic planning, budgeting, and the list of who we're reaching out to and where do we see the business going. So that's like standard for me there. But the personal,
That's
I need to separate.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Not separated. We are one.
Yeah.
Well, when it's just starting out, let's be realistic. When it's just starting out, you're everything to the business, right? You're the operating manager, you're the cleaner, you are the, whatever you are, you're the plumber, you're everything. So until you start hiring people and start being an employee and start becoming the CEO, it's different. So it depends on what level you are in your business. So don't be too hard on yourself, but I totally get what you're saying. And 4 years in, I think, you've done great strides. And as I was telling you, I know I send you random texts all the time. Look into government contracting.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful product and looking, both at the state level and the federal level, I think you have a great market there and they would want that. Plus, they have, if you get those certification like minority-owned business and small business owners and women-owned business, all that put in a smaller pool to get those contracts. So please look into that. I know I sent it to you already. Check your text. Go back to it.
All right.
Okay. So what's one saying, actually, do you want to say anything else about entrepreneurship before I get to that question? Do you want to say anything else to our listeners about entrepreneurship that they really should think about? Anything?
I would say, okay, so I would say basically to be an entrepreneur, you have to be an optimist. You have to feel that what you're doing is going to make a difference, but you also have to find something that you're doing that can make a difference as well. And then I would also say just seek counsel, get a sponsor, get a mentor, and just keep reaching out and networking with folks. That would probably be the biggest thing that I would say for people getting started is always look for who can mentor me, who can connect with me, who can be my sponsor, who can talk for me in rooms that I can't reach. That's definitely something I would say.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So what's one saying? That's something I ask all my guests because I just want to know. I'm nosy. As my grandmother said, me fast. I know I'm fast. So what's one saying or proverb your family always use to inspire or teach you a lesson while you're growing up?
Yeah. So one of my grandma's favorite psalms was 91. I can't recite it for you. I could pull a Bible if you want me to, but
you are not a Christian. Go back to Sunday school.
No, I know.
It's okay. It's okay.
But I would say something my mom told me that my grandfather would always say was peace, love, happiness, and joy, and that was something that we incorporated into our company as our motto. So yeah, I would just say, enter the world with peace, love, happiness, and joy, and really try to spread that. So something I would say.
Oh, that's so nice. That's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
So they didn't use it in Jamaican saying now because Jamaicans have so much. We have so many.
There's so
Oh my
many.
God.
Oh
So
my goodness.
many.
So
For
many.
every occasion too. For every occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Like my favorite one is I was talking to my mom today.
Yeah.
I was going through. I said, "Mom, 'cause it's October, going to November, strategic time planning and future forward looking, or whatever they're saying, forward looking, or whatever." And she was like, "One cocoa, filled basket." I said, "Yes, mommy. Yes, mommy. One cocoa, full basket." So where can they find you, Sasha?
Oh, yeah. So you guys can find me online, ovelcoffee.com. You can also find us at the Geisler supermarkets. We're all Geislers throughout Connecticut, Tangiers, and Hartford. Or you can just go online, find us on Instagram, Ovel Coffee on Instagram, Ovel Coffee Co. on Facebook. And you can go on our website and you'll see a list of where we are. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you think you go back to Jamaica? Do you think you go back to Jamaica and live and have a home there and build something down there?
Oh, yes, I would love to do that. Like by the beach or something. Or I don't know if I could do the beach because my mom has her house in Jamaica, so it's in the mountains. So I don't think she'd be like, "What? The beach? Like, are you serious?"
Mine is in the bush. My husband said mine is in the bush, but it's in the mountains. My husband said back a bush. I said, "No, we're not back a bush. We are countryside." Okay, in America. That's a lot of money. We're the countryside.
Right? I like that.
Oh my goodness. It was so great having you, Sasha. I'm so happy. I wish you much success for the new year and years to come. I think you have an amazing product. As I said, I don't drink coffee, so hopefully you can add a tea line maybe.
Hopefully, maybe that's part of the future plan.
Maybe. I will be there. But I will smell your coffee.
There we go.
Like once you get started, you can't undo it. So I don't want to get started.
Very true.
So thank you so much for coming through. I really think it was an absolute pleasure having you here. And until next time, remember, keep your money irate.